Hi, it's Piper at Vibration Studios in Huddersfield. I am here with Abby.
Hello.
Abby is our new intern.
Hello. I'm loving it so far.
Are you?
Yeah, of course I am.
I definitely told her to say that. We're going to be looking at mastering today. We've got a new master chain that I've been working on for a few months, and I'm really excited to show you. So we're going to be looking at a new single upcoming from Liam Kershaw called Holding On, and we've had a good go today at getting the levels right and making sure we're at a point where we can get it mastered. So we're just going to go through that final process with you today. So here's the track as it is, as it came to me.
Now so much changed, but I'm still here holding.
So we've got some acoustic, we've got some synth underneath on the bass. There's a lot of dynamic changes in this track, so that's good. That's a good change. We just want to give it a bit of oomph when it changes. You've also got a chorus here, and then a refrain after the last chorus. So we just want to make those things pump, really. One technique that I like to do is just have a little volume change and width change, stereo width change. We want to have some automation there just to bring that in. So what we're doing here is we are adding a bit of width. We're taking away a little bit of width to the stereo field in the verses and in the quiet sections, and adding an extra little bit of oomph. Oops. So 110% just as it kicks in, and we've got a volume change of 1.5 dB. Just so this is taking that 1.5 dB off and then putting it on up to 0 dB for the final push. So that sounds like this. It's a subtle change, but that will become a lot more apparent once everything else is in. Another thing I've done is the cymbals become a little lost just on a couple of those final moments. So I've added just very barely perceptively, but underneath in the mix a couple of extra cymbal samples. So if we just have a listen without and with. Yeah. So they're just due to the fact that compression and all sorts of things do change the sonic qualities of the track. I've got a few bits of automation here. So for the intro, we just boosted a little bit the mid-range in that beginning section and taking off some of the low end and the very sort of top end. I've also put in, just in the intro, a little bit of reverb, and it's not a lot. Where it's sort of -12 there is just to give it a bit of character because it was sounding a little dry. So here it is without.
From heartaches long ago, I'm not one for taking blame, but it's what I need to change my way.
And here it is with.
From heartaches long ago, I'm not one for taking blame, but it's what I need to change my way.
That's good. Yeah, see, it's just
Nice and subtle.
There is already reverb on the track.
Yeah.
It's just the processing just sort of reduced it for whatever reason. So I just pulled it back again. So other EQ is what have we got here? A little bit of reduction in the low end for everything except the choruses. Again, it helps build on the changes, the ebbing and the flowing of the structure of the song. So let's go on to the actual main bits. So this is our standard mastering change. We've got a bit of soothe processing, some tape drive. One of the main things the mastering chain actually does, I've aimed to add small increments of compression and distortion as we go along the signal chain. So rather than just going, this is the compression, this is the saturation, it's just adding little bits as we go and then recorrecting that EQ as we go. It's quite a long signal chain. There's quite a lot going on.
It is.
But it means that we can, if we wanted to, this isn't a particularly loud track, but if we wanted to make a really sort of heavily compressed track we could do that without losing any of the sonic quality because we use small changes as we go and correct as we go. So yeah. So here's the first little bit, a couple of bits to soothe. We've got one here just for the de-esser, just reduces the sibilance, and just to soften the sub as well. We've also got Kramer tapes, so we've got a little bit of tape saturation. Again, this is not a lot. It seems a bit wild, but it is because what happens later on is that all of the sort of processes have a bit of a bathtub effect on the frequency spectrum. So this is sort of undoing that while also doing a bit of just general multiband compression on specific frequencies. So that's very useful. It will become more apparent later on. We've got a nice Pultec EQ, which we are just like doing boosts on the top and bottom on the bass and the treble ends, and this is almost purely just for the sound that you get from the Pultec EQ, and there's a little bit of tiniest little bit of saturation in there, and then we're literally undoing the EQ curve like that. It's a thing that I like the sound of, is applying it and then removing it, but you retain the character of the device. And then the real secret sauce is the main saturation section, which is actually it's actually an automated thing that comes with Ableton Live. And you've got a few options. You've got clean, saturated, crisp, and full, or you can actually go into the details and choose like your compression, how much space you want, which I think is a little bit of reverb, and a bit of drive and crunch, which we won't need on any of this.
No.
But you can really, really, really mess with things. So without, it sounds like this. And then when we apply it, so those low mids are really, really enhanced. It's soaking the whole thing in
coming through, certainly, yeah.
in nice juices. It's good. We've got Gullfoss. Gullfoss is a psychoacoustic processor, and essentially these 6 things here you can boost. It doesn't actually increase the volume; it just increases the perceived volume. Same with the brightening. I mainly use it for recovery. Recovery is about bringing out those frequencies that might have been masked by other frequencies in the mix process, and so this is really good for I've managed to use brighten and recover to get a lot of the cymbals back. Obviously it wasn't perfect, so I had to add some crashes in, but it's very, very subtle. This here's without, and here's with. And FGX is just doing a little bit of the low-end processing. Just when we get some fast transients in the low end, it just brings those out while retaining the sort of slower transients of the bass. So it's basically about making that kick punchy.
Yeah, nice.
It sounds good. Another thing we do is we set the bass to mono just to make sure everything under a certain frequency we are at. Everything under 80 hertz is in mono. That's really especially useful if you're doing vinyl production, which means that anything in the low end is just in the middle.
Yeah.
If it's in the left or the right, the needle pops out. So it's really important to get that right. But generally, it's a good thing to do just to make sure that your low end is nice and centered and grounded. I've got a few utilities here which are just changing, making incremental changes in the gain. Just before and after different processes. This is about gain staging, just to make sure that things are where they're supposed to be. Now here comes the clipping section. This is the final section before the finish. Clipping essentially is just clipping off the top. When it's too loud, it takes it off, and this is the main thing that mastering is for making sure that you're at commercial volume and you're taking off that top end. So throughout this process, one of the most important things is that before we round up this bit is throughout we're paying attention to the balance of the frequencies in reference to whatever curve we want. But I tend to use the standard pop curve. So this is the general expected frequency response for this sort of genre. It's a fairly poppy track. It's a kind of a rock ballad, but we want a bit of a pop vibe to it. So when we listen to the track with that, you can see there's a little boost in the low end. But generally it's sort of in line, particularly when you get to the end. But all these instances of ProQ are helping me to construct that frequency space as we go.
It's a really smart plugin, that.
But what we've got here, we've got a slight boost in the low end for the kick, and a reduction on the snare just for the fundamental frequency for the body of it, because it's a little bit overpowering once all the compression is in. If we just switch it off. It's a lovely snare, but for the purposes of this track, we do want to ease it off, so we just put a little dip in. And then it becomes more about the attack of the snare rather than that boof sort of sound. There's a little bit of harshness in the vocal, so if we turn those off. So just put that on. Swap that out, and then just done a little bit of an easing off of the top end just to smooth things out. The final thing is making sure, using some kind of loudness meter, that the finished product is at commercial volume. And we are mastering for Spotify today. Yep. Spotify likes LUFS to be at around -14. So at any point, at the loudest points, I think we might be at -12. I think at the main drop we're at -12. Yeah, so we're at -12, and the average throughout is about -14. So Spotify will be happy with that.
Good. That's always nice.
The other thing we do, we use Expose as a final, just a final check for everything, for the levels and for the
specifics.
Yeah, the specifics. Yeah, the numbers of it all. It's currently on all-round mastering, but we will switch it to Spotify. You can go on Spotify Loud if you're wanting something that hits a bit harder, but that is generally for things like metal or metalcore or sort of harder rock. Yeah. This is fairly rock ballady, so we're happy with this. What you're aiming for is purple across the board. We have one red, but if we look at the details of it, let's just full screen that. You get a nice little report here. The decibel true peak target is -1 for Spotify. That's what we're aiming for. We are at one point in the track, we are 0.01 dB off of that. Now,
wow.
That's not going to clip anything. That is actually going to be okay.
Yes.
Because we're already -1, so it's going to be fine. So that I'm more than happy with. The rest, it's got a massive dynamic range, which is good for this genre. If you look at anything like Always by Bon Jovi or Angels, Robbie Williams, Iris by the Goo Goo Dolls, those are our 3 reference tracks for the master. Those have such a massive dynamic range, and we are looking at 10 to 12 LU dynamic range. So that's fine. Normally I'd be looking around 5. Yeah. But that's good. Good stereo imaging, is fairly happy with that. We've also got -14.1, which is ideal for Spotify. It says here, adjust your limiter gain by 0.1 dB to achieve an average loudness of -14. So we are so close that it's happy. So yeah, that's great. So the last thing to do is compare the two.
Yeah.
So we go from here.
Holding, 'cause I know what I got.
That's good. And the mastered version.
Holding, 'cause I know what I got.
Definitely a lot more richer in the bottom end, and more changes in the dynamic range between sections. And that's generally what I aim for. And we were able to push it a little harder than the original pre-master gave us. Another change here. So that was the mix and then the master. Yeah, so that's the change between the pre-chorus and chorus, and that's the biggest difference in volume, I think. And I think it just sort of creates a. We've got the width changed in there as well, which really sort of helps to create recognised structure in the track. Let's just have a look at the end. So we've got a little dropout and the final chorus.
But I'm still here holding on, 'cause I know.
And the master version.
'Cause I know what I got. So much has changed. But I'm still here holding on, 'cause I.
Just a little more power in that.
That low end sounds really nice in that break. I think.
Yeah, I think we've hit on something there actually. Just before we get to the last bit, I'll just play the intro because we did do a little bit of the reverb, the extra reverb and stuff. So here's the original
To
version.
walk the line and fell from grace, all because of choices made from heartaches long ago.
And with the final master.
To walk the line and fell from grace, all because of choices made from heartaches long ago.
Yeah, I think we've got a nicer start to the track as well, and then the final refrain, chorus into the final refrain. We added those crashes in as well.
Oh yeah.
So we've got a bit of extra width. We've got the crashes. We've got the volume change, and we've got all of the processing that we've done. Here's the original. Production on this original track is fantastic, and I really enjoy what they've done with using strings to create that lift. I wanted to bring that out a bit more, so we've obviously really dramatically enhanced that lift. Let's play it until the end. Genuinely really happy with it. I think we've done what we set out to achieve, which is essentially create a strong enhancement of what's already there, because the production was second to none. It was fantastic. I love the addition of the strings and the dynamic changes. We just wanted to bring that out once we'd brought it up to commercial volume and compressed it the amount that we needed to. Really, it was a case of just sort of bringing out those dynamic changes in a sort of meaningful way. And I think we've managed, and we have already sent it off to Liam, and he said that he's really happy with it. So job done. Excellent, cool. I don't know how to end this. I've never really thought about this.
Yeah.
Do you want to say? But.
Bye.
Bye.